Hey guys, Matt here from Rick Brewery. Happy Homebrew Wednesday. I found this cool glass. I took a trip to the homebrew store and got another one added to the collection. So tonight we're going to try the KBBA clone that I made last year. What was it? Beginning of summer? Spring maybe? So, and this beer I know ages nicely, so. I don't know if anybody's ever had it, but this is basically my take on the Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale from Lexington, Kentucky. Fell in love with that beer when I traveled over there years ago, and got a recipe that I put together and sort of perfected over a couple of times, and it's pretty darn close to the original. Cheers. Yeah, that's really nice. Maybe a bit of chill haze there, but yeah, this is very close, if not spot on, to what I remember of the original. I haven't had an original in a couple of years now, at least, but it's very nice. It's got that nice. It's just a basic ale recipe. Nothing real fancy, nothing real crazy on the hops. I think it might be like Fuggles and some East Kent Goldings that are in here. But what shines through it is the Knob Creek bourbon that's in there, and it's not overpowering. It's not quite a Boilermaker, as I've heard a phrase coined by a friend of mine. But it's real nice in there, and it mixes really well with the basic ale. Delicious. Well, I got a lot of stuff to talk about, so I'm going to try to plow through this so that the video is not too long, because I do have Brew Day footage to put in at the end here. So just real quick about that, that's basically my lemon shandy that I brewed up. Never brewed a shandy before, but I've gotten a number of requests from friends and coworkers that wanted me to try to make one. So what I did was I took my basic wheat recipe that I've used for like my watermelon wheat, my cherry wheat. I made like a ginger wheat before too, and I basically took that recipe and just tweaked it slightly, and then just from what I've read about how the shandy works, when it comes time to bottling this thing, I'll go ahead and throw in some lemonade. I'd be interested to hear some thoughts and some comments on how to do that, because I've never done it before. I'd like to assume that I would need to probably find unsweetened lemonade mix to put in there, so it doesn't create overcarbonation in the bottles and have bottle bombs. That would be a very bad thing. So yeah, I'm just going to kind of wing it. If anybody has any tips there, it'd be great. The brew stand. So I kind of got that itch again to get things going with the electric setup that I've been trying to build. I got all the kettles and all the pieces for that already last year. And then just between work and just life and finances and whatnot just kind of got in the way, and I never got to finish it. So I need to still build the panel, and I'm going to need to come up with a table and pumps and things like that just to kind of round it all together. In order to fund that, what I planned on doing was selling my old stand, or my current stand. Still very young, it's got a lot of life left in it, of course. I've probably brewed 20 plus batches on there. So what I'm hoping to do is sell it, use the money for that to put together my panel and get the other things that I need. So put it out there, and we'll see. I've gotten a couple of bites already, so I'm just kind of trying to see what all the interest is there, and we'll see what happens. The Irish Car Bomb Stout is in the secondary now. It's now sitting on top of the Jameson whiskey, and the vanilla beans were soaking in the whiskey. I took them out since, but I put the whiskey mixture into the secondary. So that's coming along. The CO2 tank in my kegerator finally kicked. So that's an interesting quick story. I didn't know that the homebrew store did this, because I've never had this issue before, but down here. So the CO2 tank that's in there The date on it, it was filled last, was in February of 2016. So I got a lot of mileage out of that. Didn't use the kegerator a ton over the last couple of years, but enough that I'm surprised that it lasted that long. Usually I'm replacing the tank every year. So it's interesting how it lasted 2, almost 3. Actually, it was 3. So really surprised with that. Now granted, I didn't brew all of 2017, so there's a whole year off that it probably wasn't used much. But when I took it to the homebrew store, they charged me a deposit, or not deposit, they charged me a pressure test fee because the tank that I had turned in, apparently the date that was on the tank, since the last time it was tested and whatnot, was over 5 years. So they have this requirement that if it's over 5 years, you got to pay a repressuring test fee that I guess some schlub gets stuck with, whoever happens to have it when it hits the 5-year mark. So I guess that was my turn this time. So I ended up paying essentially double what I normally pay for having it filled. Because to have them filled, it's like $20. This one, it cost me near $40 to have it filled because I had to pay for the test. So that's fine. It's done. A couple other things real quick. So SJ Port Challenge, I heard that it's going to be announced soon. So keep on the lookout for that. I'm really excited. I wanted to participate in it last year, but they weren't. They were taking a year off. Just asking about it, and it's just as it turns out, they already started brainstorming. So it's coming soon. So that'll be awesome. And then lastly, the folks over at Inkbird reached out to me. Vanessa from there, she actually reached out to me and asked me to review their new dual temperature probe temperature controller that's supposed to be coming out or is out. So I'm waiting for that to come in. I'm really excited. I've never actually gotten a review request from any of the brewing equipment companies, so this will be a first time for me. That's really cool that they reached out to me. Anyway, that's it for me this week. I don't want this video to be crazy, so I tried to plow through the updates and enjoy the brew footage, and I'll see you guys next week. So have a happy Homebrew Wednesday, everybody, and cheers. There we go, just filling up the mash tun, getting started for the day. And now we're filling up the hot liquor tank for the sparge water. I like to heat these both up at the same time. Get the sparge water up to temp and just sort of let it chill there while the mash is going. Trying to be a little bit efficient. That's a little lower than it should have been. Much better. Probably about halfway through the mash. Adjusted the pH. Now we just let this finish out, and then we'll start sparging. And now we are sparging. Just trying to get that flow rate equal. Trying nice and steady here. Probably got about an inch. So pretty good here, just keeping an eye on it to make sure that the flow rate is the way it should be. There we go, going into the boil kettle at 5.28. 529. Should be okay. I just realized that I did the sparge water. Forgot to put the lactic acid in there to bring it down, so it was just straight up city water that went in there to sparge with, so it raised the pH going into the boil kettle to 5.45. So put a little bit of lactic acid in there. It's actually funny, it turned out to be the same amount that was supposed to go in the sparge water, 1 milliliter. Brought it down to that 5.28, so that's pretty good. There you go. So we're coming up to a boil now. Just waiting for that to happen. Getting close. While we wait, the fun part, cleaning out the mash tun. So yeah, I took the false bottom out, and yep, just gonna clean this out real good. Try to get my OxyClean mixture going here. Actually, it's going to be sodium percarbonate this time because that's the OxyClean just ran out. So yeah, the fun part, the cleanup. Try to do this as I go. That way, the brew day itself, start to finish, doesn't take too terribly long. Now we are approaching the boil, so put in our 60-minute hop addition, which is a ½ ounce of Citra. Boom. Here's just a shot inside the mesh tun. This is after I've cleaned it out. That's some sodium percarbonate in there. Everything's soaking in it. And you know, once the beer is moved on to the fermenter out of here, and I go to clean this out, this is all ready to go. I'll just move it over. 15 minutes left in the boil. We're going to go ahead and add in our oral flock tablet and yeast nutrient. Boom. And my yeast nutrient is a little more than a year old, so hopefully it's alright. It says to put in a ½ teaspoon, but with the age of it, I just decided to throw in a full teaspoon. 10 minutes left in the boil. ½ ounce of Cascade. And we got a little bit of a whirlpool going. Trying something different this time. I think I've maybe done this once or twice before, but I'm just trying to go through the pump first while we're still at near boiling temperatures, and switch it over to the plate chiller in a few minutes. But I'm just trying to keep down the amount of crap that gets put in there, and yeah, there's not a whole lot coming through there now, so we might be alright. Just let this run for a good 5 minutes. Then I'll go ahead and switch the hoses around and start running it through the chiller. Okay, we started the chilling process. And right now it's just going back into the kettle, which is still sitting at 180. So I'll run this, I like to run it this way for 5 minutes or so. We've already whirlpooled, so I'm not worried about getting any more stuff through the lines. It's just a matter of cooling it down a little bit in the kettle, and then I'll go ahead and start moving it to the fermenter. I found that works pretty well with this chiller, getting me below 80 no problem, especially on a nice day like today. It was near 70 here today, so groundwater wasn't too terribly cold. Alright, now we're going into the fermenter. 68 degrees going in, and that looks a lot better than the last time. So I could believe that less got through the chiller. Just pouring right in there, aerating along the way. I'll probably shake it up too. One of these days I'll get myself an aeration stone. But this will do for now. Nice. Looks pretty good. And there we go. It's about 6 gallons in there. Now we'll go ahead and pitch the yeast. It's not the yeast I was trying to go for. I was trying to get to 1010, but they were out of it, so I just went with that Hefeweizen. I've had pretty good luck with this. Trying to do this one-handed. Whoops. You go. There we go, all parked away. I just got to put the airlock on it. Finished out at 72, almost 73, so yeah, we'll bring it down now. Should be okay. Got this set for 70. There we go. Airlock put on. And it's parked here for a few days. And now back to the cleanup. And there she is, all cleaned up. Did a little more thorough cleaning this time and kind of washed or wiped down the stand. At least, most of the stand here, just because don't do that all the time. Dried up all the kettles. One of these days I'll probably sort of polish them. I got that nice Barkeeper's Friend stuff. It works pretty good, so I might give them a dose of that here in the near future. But yeah, I'd like to leave them cracked open so that they can dry out real good. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Rinsed out the chiller real good, backwards and forwards a couple of times. And all ready for the next brew day. Cheers.